Thank you all. Welcome to our panel discussion to discuss the benefits of Toastmasters to anyone who joins, both personally and professionally. I have had the privilege to travel the globe for Toastmasters and to meet with corporations in 20 to 30 countries around the world. I just got back from Qatar and had the privilege to talk with corporations there about the value of Toastmasters and to meet with many different Toastmasters there, 450 of them, and the corporate clubs there and the community clubs there. So tonight we want to talk about the value of Toastmasters in our careers in the public sector and in the private sector, to talk about the transferable skills that are gained through the Toastmasters education program that we provide to our members. But first, I would like to have each of our panelists introduce themselves. I would like to know your name, your title, and the private sector or public sector companies that you work for. So let's begin with that. And I'm going to start at the end of the table here. So I'm passing the microphone down the end of the table.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm Amit Bhasin. I'm the director for the Center for Transportation Research. I'm also a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Texas at Austin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Mullaney. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the McCombs School of Business at the University of Texas at Austin. And I had a private sector career for the first half of my career and then have been in higher education for the last 9 years.
Great. Hello, everyone. So my name is Russ Finney, and I'm also with the McCombs School of Business at the University of Texas. I'm a lecturing professor, so in the classroom, which is tremendous fun. And I'm also the director of our MIS undergrad program.
Well, I'm Yiting Liu. If anyone that I have invited doesn't know who I am, I need to talk to you. So I'm also with the UT Austin McCombs School as the Information Technology Director of Applications and Data. A long title for me, but for Toastmasters perspective, I am the first Asian American elected as the district director, which makes me the CEO for this district. That goes from Central Austin, Killeen, to San Antonio, Corpus Christi, and to Rio Grande Valley. So it's a very big district for me to oversee. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, give everyone a round of applause. Absolutely. And I'm Lark Doley. I was the 2018-2019 Toastmasters International President, and I am now retired. So I've owned my own business, and I worked as a training manager for my last position.
I'm Bart Loser. I am a corporate trainer. I travel the world, mostly the U.S., teaching interpersonal skills, team building, leadership, communication, customer service, everything. And I am passionate about these skills and helping to pass these along to the next generation, as well as people from my generation in the senior years. It's something for everybody, and I certainly think we should take advantage of that. One of the things I've done about 10 years ago, I started the first LGBTQ community club. So we want everybody and anyone to build these skills, and we want to support everyone. That's what we're here for, and we're here for you. We're here for everyone. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Wafa Owen, and as a Toastmaster, I was the first non-U.S. born district director served in 2019-2020. Thank you. And now I'm the region advisor serving the organization and supporting 8 districts, 6 in the U.S. and 2 in Mexico. Out of Toastmasters, I am the office manager at a venture capital firm.
Hi, my name is Stephen Wolf. I am fully retired now, and my most recent position was with the Comptroller's Office, where I met Yiting as a cybersecurity risk analyst. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, but really what it means is making sure that all the T's were crossed and I's were dotted so that the information, all of our financial information, because we live in the state of Texas and all the financial stuff goes through the Comptroller's Office, making sure that all that was kept safe. And as far as Toastmasters, I've been out of Toastmasters for some time now, but Yiting invited me to this event here to meet some people and possibly join Toastmasters again. I'll talk later, I guess, about the benefits that it afforded to me in my career.
Great, thank you. Passing it back here. My first question is, why did you choose your career? So whether it be in the public sector or the private sector, why did you choose that career? And what we will do is I'm going to ask Yiting to answer the question first and pass it down this way, and then we'll go this way. All right, so why did you choose your career, whether it be in the public sector or private sector?
That was an easy one for me because comptroller offered me the job before I graduated in 1998. I got their offer from a job fair. They called me in July. I graduated in August. But I didn't want to be at the public sector, knowing that the salary is a little bit lower, and I was wanting to move out of the state. But it was the interesting problems that the state government has presented to me that kept on going. And I wanted to solve all those problems. If you remember, more than 20 years ago in the late 90s, and we, from comptroller's office, we had to make software or applications in a CD, and we gave that to people hand it to people for them to install on their computer in order for them to file tax returns. And I was one of the key contributors and architect to move all of that into web online applications. Those were challenging problems, and I got more and more involved in solving problems, and I stayed in public sector for the past 25 years.
All right, pass it down.
Great. So again, I'm Russ Finney, and I've actually been in technology since I graduated from the university. So I've done technology my entire life. So I've stayed with a single-minded dedication to my career. But I started out in industry in Houston, Texas, and it was great. I worked in the energy industry, and I was doing IT technology and programming, and those were in the days of when we were building systems. And in fact, I came up to Austin, Texas. I worked with energy industry, then I got hired by Ernst & Young, the accounting firm, and became a consultant. And I came up to work with the comptroller. And anyway, I finished up around 1993, and we worked on the revenue collection system that you probably had to support with those CDs. But anyway, I worked on that and worked on the database design, and I feel very good. It's still running, and the databases are still in use. It was many years. That system had a great life. But I got to do advisory work, and that was all around technology, especially with Ernst & Young. Then I joined industry with Tokyo Electron, and maybe I heard somebody's maybe from Tokyo Electron out there, but all of these companies I work with had Toastmasters chapters, so it was great. Down in Houston we had one, Tokyo Electron had one here in Austin, and I really felt like it was a great addition inside those companies because people need more confidence in being able to do public speaking, and then also bringing your thoughts together to be able to communicate, and especially in a business environment. I think it served me well because now I'm a classroom professor at the University of Texas doing lecturing. And if you think about it, that's what are you doing? Every class session you go and you speak for an hour. Yeah, so you're putting together a presentation and also trying to have interactivity with your audience. Now my audience these days is students. But I feel like the whole time it's been information technology and communicating about it and being a part of it. So it's been fantastic. And Austin is a great city to be doing technology.
Right, so Caitlin.
I think the question was, why did you choose where you are? And I'm going to say, I think it chose me a little bit. I'm hearing some similarities. I started my career at Ernst & Young as an accountant, and I consider myself a recovering accountant these days. More of a jack of all trades, maybe master of none when it comes to higher education operations. But I think about where I have been the most happy in my life, and it was either at my undergraduate time or my graduate programs. And now I have the privilege of working in higher education. And it's very mission driven, obviously helping our students to be successful. But I found actually a knack for, oftentimes in education, we're so focused on the classroom outcomes, the research that's going on, but there's a lot of systems and things that run kind of the back end operations, and they've oftentimes been neglected. And it's been a part of my mission the last 9 years, first at a private university and now here at the University of Texas, to help transform some of those processes, systems. And I find great joy and pleasure in that, especially when someone can get their job done a little quicker, a little easier, and a little more efficiently. So that's how.
Thank you. Well, so my journey started, I'm a civil engineer by training. I went to engineering school in India many years ago. And when I graduated, I went into engineering because I always enjoyed building things. I worked on a lot of research projects with a couple of professors, and I enjoyed that very much. And my professor told me, you ought to go to get your graduate degree, you should become a researcher. And I was 21 years, and it's like, no, I'm going to design high-rise buildings. I'm going to go to private sector, do all these amazing things. And so I said, bye-bye, and I'm going to take this job in private sector, which I did. And I worked for about 6 years. I jumped from construction, project management, design, and nothing appealed to me. It got very boring very quickly. Even when I was in private sector, I was trying to make things better, improve on things. And every year my professor would write to me or email me and say, maybe you still want to do this or you want to come to graduate school. And so eventually I realized that he knew me better than I knew myself at the time. And I went to graduate school, and then my advisor was like, you ought to get into research, and if you enjoy research, enjoy teaching, this is the career path for you. And so I pursued that. But the common thread has always been that what can I do that will make things better? In the private sector, I had those opportunities. But what I realized in public sector, those opportunities are at a much larger scale. I could make a lot of difference and have a bigger impact if I was putting that effort in the public sector. And the other thing I always found that in the public sector, like you described, the pay and benefits, of course, are not there, but you enjoy a freedom. You are unencumbered by profitability. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's just, it liberates you. It frees you to think creatively, try to make the world a better place. So in my role now as a professor, as a researcher, as a center director, I thoroughly enjoy taking all the creativity that my colleagues bring to the table and try to do public good out of that. So that's sort of the nutshell of my story.
Thanks to all of them. I'm going to pass it over this way, and I know we still have some public sector, but private sector as well.
One of the things that I heard over here a lot is that you guys are passionate about having an impact on people's lives. One area that led my career is wanting to have an impact on people's lives, but more personally, about the in-person connections we have between people and resolving the challenges we have between people in trying to work together, trying to help us to all be more productive. So I'm fascinated by the whole world of interpersonal relationships. And that's the connection between what I do both as a professional in teaching communication, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, leadership, but it's also about applying these skills. And that's where Toastmasters steps in, because I can teach you these skills, but you have to practice them to get really good at it. And that's what we do in Toastmasters. So it's actually given me an opportunity to bring both my professional aspects of my life and the personal concerns of I want to leave this world a better place by teaching people how to be more impactful with each other, how to have happier lives, more productive lives together, how to get along better together, how to work well together. And that's what I teach, and then I get to actually utilize in Toastmasters the opportunity to practice those skills so that you get sharp on them. And I'm just so grateful to have discovered this organization I discovered it back in my 20s. I just didn't start it till my mid-30s. But I will say I've been doing it now for about 15, 20 years. Well, that's more than mid-30s. But anyways, I've been doing it a long time, and I love it. And I'll just keep doing it till the day I drop. So I just really appreciate that. And it applies everywhere in my life, both personal and private, as well as the public sector. It all applies everywhere because people are people everywhere, in every generation. Thank you.
So I'm in a private sector, and my company, like you, I like to have impact on other people's professional and personal life. And my company, we invest in technology, startup companies. So we help these companies create jobs. And that's what I've been doing for over 30 years, helping people, be it with the executives and with our portfolio CEOs and employees. Same thing in Toastmasters. I love to serve our communities and empower our members to learn and grow.
Okay, gosh, where do I start? I believe the question was, how did I get to where I am today? And so I'm a scientist who's the son of a scientist, chemistry. As a matter of fact, my dad was a professor of pharmaceutical chemistry. I know that's a mouthful, but anyway, so I had chemistry sets and various erector sets and various things like that when I was a kid, while all the other kids in the neighborhood were outside playing sports in the street. And so I grew up and cut forward to when I went to college. Chemistry was a natural choice for me because of my father's connection there. And it was good. It came easy to me, but then I met my first computer nerd in chemistry class. His name was James Gately. And everything. Glasses wrapped with a little piece of black tape, the pocket protector, calculator. We both wore calculators hanging from our belts, actually. But anyway, he convinced me to take a computer science class, and I took that one class, and I saw people around me struggling to figure this stuff out, and it came easy to me. So I knew I had found my calling. And then as far as how my career went, well, I've worked for defense contractors, startup companies, commercial companies. Most recently, as we mentioned before, I finished my career at the comptroller's office. And what I found through all those, what I found most beneficial to me that I gained from Toastmasters was leadership skills. In our chapter, I was in a number of officer roles for, about three and a half years, I think. Everything from president to treasurer, education director, and following the templates in the Toastmasters program that helped me learn how to do what I needed to do for our club really helped me a lot, and that boiled over into my professional life as well. So not only speaking skills, I'm a pretty gregarious guy, I don't have too much trouble speaking, but the leadership skills I gained from being in our Toastmasters club were invaluable to me throughout my career.
Thank you, Stephen. All right. And so I've been in the public and in the private sector. I started out as a high school math teacher because back then that's what women did. And then I joined Texas Instruments, worked there for 10 years, and I have worked for different companies, as well as I was an entrepreneur and had my own company for 12 years and finished my career with Maximus as a training manager. My next question is, so which soft skills are the most important in a career? So which soft skills are most important in a career? What I believe we've heard just in them describing their roles is the communication skills they have that just told you what they've done in their professional life. And to me, that is the most important soft skill that we have in our lives. We wake up in the morning and we communicate until we fall asleep at night. So to me, communication is the most valuable soft skill that we have. Toastmasters empowers us to be more effective communicators. But as Stephen said, the other part of Toastmasters is leadership skills. And we learn that from the club leadership roles all the way to serving as Toastmasters International President. But what I would like each one of them to say is, what soft skills have you found that are most valuable in your professional life, whether it be public sector or private sector? And what I'd like to do is to say, please limit this to 1 or 2 sentences. So the most valuable soft skills that you have had in your professional life and that you require of others who work for you in that professional life. And guess what? I'm going to start at this end this time. So Stephen, just 1 or 2 sentences about the most valuable soft skills that you've used and that you believe others should be using as well.
The most valuable soft skill that I use is ability to listen quietly and provide feedback. Let me start over again. The most valuable soft skill is to listen and evaluate somebody else's presentation or thought that they've just given to me. Evaluation.
For me, it's effective communication, so I'm able to build strong relationships.
One of the most famous stories you may all be familiar with was when Tom Sawyer would convince all of his friends how much fun it is to whitewash a fence. Delegation is the skill that I would recommend most. The ability to get others to do what you want in a way where they think that's what they want. That's a powerful leadership skill.
Oh, well done.
Well, the most important skill sets that I have observed is communicate with patients, because we're still fighting among Toastmasters that we would be calling out to each other and say, I thought we're Toastmasters and I thought we're supposed to be good communicators, yet we don't fully understand each other. So communication and with the patients is the most important skill set for me.
We're not agreeing on what the most important skill is, are we? I'm hearing all different ones. So maybe one of the most important, for me, it's more of a management, because I've been a manager for many, many years throughout my career. And I always viewed it as helping the people that are working for me to be as successful as they can possibly be. So trying to get the people to be elevated up. So it's more of a servant type of management approach, and feeling success from their success. And actually being in the classroom, I found that it applies there too, because you're trying to get the students to achieve their highest levels as well. So it's both within the management side, managing employees or managing students, to raise them to their great levels.
I was going to say listening, because that's infinitely important, but I will go with something that I've been working a lot with my team on lately, and it's evoking curiosity. Really giving people the space to have ideas. I was often taught in a leadership training the answer is in the room. And I think really making sure that you give space to people to evoke that curiosity, to listen to others, and it just creates a more healthy teamwork environment.
The fun of being last, all of the above. I would definitely say listening is extremely important. When you talk about communication, images of speaking and writing conjure, but listening to me is the most important part of that. Finding the best in people and nurturing them, curiosity. One other thing as a researcher working with public, private sector and students all the time, I find is the ability to understand and switch from a 30,000-foot view to a microscopic view. And most of the time, I find that people are stuck at one level or the other, but the more you're able to switch back and forth and tune your communications in accordance with your audience, I think that's a very valuable skill that I found useful.
Well, I just want everyone to know that all of the skills that have been mentioned here today are part of the Toastmasters curriculum. Surprise, surprise, right? No, they actually are. Within our digital educational program, there are over 300 competencies that members of Toastmasters can gain. We put them under the umbrellas of communication and leadership, but they truly are very specific skills. And all of the ones that we've discussed today are included within that Pathways curriculum. Our curriculum is called Pathways, and we have 11 paths within Pathways that our members can take. And within each path, there are 5 major levels of competencies, but within each of those levels, multiple competencies, 60 to 100 competencies that our members can gain by preparing their projects and working through those projects. In Toastmasters, we believe in preparation of our projects. We believe in evaluation of those projects by our members to help us learn and improve our skills. And then we also gain extemporaneous speaking skills during part of our meetings. So our meetings are combined with elements of leadership and communication throughout. My final question for these panelists is truly, how can Toastmasters be of value within your environment? So how can Toastmasters be of value to you within your environment? We've already heard some individuals talk about the value, so I appreciate Russ talked about the value within the private sector and public sector that he's seen, but I would just like for the comments from anyone who's been a Toastmaster or anyone who hasn't and has heard today things that they like about the program, but how can Toastmasters be of value?
Well, I'll start with this one because the question is as if asking if you have a college degree, what would you do with it? Toastmasters is a educational program, and you may get certified, you may learn something, but what really matters is what you do with it. There could be thoughts that the college education may or may not be all that useful. That would be the same argument for Toastmasters program. And what I have experienced is that you have to try it. For what you have learned in classrooms, the Toastmaster Leadership Institute is a university in itself. What you have learned in classrooms, you have to apply it. And it may take you more than one try to get it. I think that's the endurance to keep on trying until you make it. That's the most important. Given that, I want to change the subject, the question, to a little different one, and I would like our panelists to just give one advice to the audience here you would like them to remember or take away from our discussion today. Would you like to go first? We have grandparents, we have kids, we have teenagers here. If you want them to take away one thing today, what would that be?
I think there's, and I was talking about this with a colleague earlier, is that you have to discover within yourself your aptitude, interest, and training and educational opportunities. It's a process of self-discovery. It takes time. And like I was saying earlier, that my faculty advisor saw in me something that took me a while to discover about myself. And it's a journey. So try to find things, self-discover, what is it that naturally excites you, but also things that you might have an aptitude for. You said that computer course came easy to you. That was a discovery. So look for those little sparks in your life and try to amplify them.
Big question. I think there are two things I will say. One is that we need to be patient. I think we're very much in a culture right now of clicks and instant gratification and all of that, and everything obviously that I'm seeing and witnessing here takes time and practice, and it's really important to recognize that even those TikToks or whatever you see online that take 30 seconds, they take hours often to prepare or more. So just be patient. And I think the other thing is fun. To have fun with what you do. We put so much pressure on ourselves as a society these days. I know I have for many years, but to have it be lighthearted and fun.
My turn, okay. I'm good with that. So if you talk to people about what's your biggest fear, many people are going to say the fear of public speaking. Like it's an inhibitor. And if you're going to rise up through your career into ever higher levels of leadership, eventually you're going to have to stand in front of people and talk. And if that's something that is a big fear for you, it could actually slow your career down or be an inhibitor into your success. So one of the great things about Toastmasters is it's a safe place to be able to overcome that idea. And I found that the local chapters that we had in the various organizations that I've worked in, that's who joined Toastmasters. Like, I'm scared to death to talk in front of a crowd, but these other people are the same way, and we're safe together. And so they're just as afraid as I am. And then you overcome it with that group. I will tell you, I was fearful of teaching my first college class. And it was a big class, and it was an auditorium style thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to stand up in front of a bunch of students and teach. And so my first lecture, I was very afraid of my first lecture. I'd spoken many times in a business setting, but not in a university setting. So I got my two little dogs, and they're very attentive. And anyway, and I brought them in the room, and I'm like, okay, we're going to talk. I'm going to do my lecture. And anyway, dogs will sit there until you give them the signal, I'm not done yet. And anyway, I just did my lecture, and they're looking at each other, how long is this going to go? But it's kind of that way at Toastmasters. So actually, I was going to add another skill on the set. It would be being able to speak in public. It's very much of an enabler of career success. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pass it down to the end, and I'll finish it.
All the way down to me. What were the two?
Advice to them.
Okay, advice is easy. Advice is to join Toastmasters and participate fully. That's easy because, and the reason I say that is because it's been such a benefit to me in my life and in my career. The ability to have a thought and enunciate that thought clearly so that someone else understands it, and then recognize that they understood it and have a conversation about it. That is incredibly powerful, both professionally and, even down to romantically, to be able to have a thought and explain that to somebody else so that they understand it. Enough.
So I got my best job through Toastmasters. A friend Toastmaster recommended me, and I advanced in my career because of Toastmasters. So to the parents, my advice, we do have a youth leadership program. I encourage you to look into it. I'll be happy to give you the information of the coordinator who is helping in Austin. And to the youth, explore your potential. Like our professor said, it is a safe place. It's a lot of fun. We also improve by getting our peers to give us feedback.
Well, my speech was all about challenge your fears. Do not let them get in the way of you going for what you want to be in your life. That's the one thing that gets in the way. But since that was already said, I will choose another life lesson. I was probably 63 years old before I learned this, sadly, and I hope you guys can learn this at an earlier age. Life never goes the way you plan. One thing I encourage you to do is let that go. Let it be what it is, learn to accept what it is, and find ways to work with what you do have control over. And one thing you have control over is how you choose to look at things. If you choose to find gratitude in every moment of your life, in every experience of your life, you can find happiness in almost every moment. The only thing that steals your happiness away is these unrealistic expectations of how life should be, when that is not how life goes. Life just is what it is. I think all of you could agree there. Learning to let go of making life be what you want it to be, although you should still have a plan, but it's not going to go according to plan. Be flexible and find the gratitude in every moment. Try to find the happiness that's available at every moment in your life. You don't have to wait until you're 63 years old to discover that. You can do this at the age of 12 if you get practiced. Thank you.
Thank you. You have heard incredible communicators here in this panel today, and I will tell you that if you want to improve your communication and leadership skills, then please say yes to Toastmasters. My advice to all of us is to say yes. At every opportunity we are given, say yes. It's been a joy for us to be with you today. I hope you've learned something about Toastmasters, the value of Toastmasters in a career.